We finally knocked out Shooter's first ride. Stick around if you want to see me go through all the steps that I do to get through a first ride on each and every colt that I work on. So just like any first ride, JD is always in the round pen with me to help guide the horse. I've been working really hard on teaching the horses to come and pick me up at the lick tub that I stand on rather than taking the lick tub to them. Shooter has always had a little more self-preservation, as we all know, and so it takes him a little bit longer to get up to it. But it's really important that he experiences me up above him all the time, because that's all part of the riding process, is them experiencing me from all different places on their body and accepting me in all different places all over their body. Once I get him up to the lick tub, I do a lot of petting on him. JD comes up to him. He pets and rubs all over him. I want this horse to understand the whole experience. I want him to know what to expect. I want to be very deliberate in all of my movements on him. And I want him to know that he's being ridden, that he's getting this experience. I don't want to sneak around a horse. You'll see videos sometimes where people are sneaking around, getting up there, and I'm sure at this point you guys have all heard the saying that a quiet person makes a spooky horse and a spooky person makes a quiet horse. So I'm going to carry my barrel around the other side. I make a lot of noise with it. I drop it all around him. All of this stuff are all lie detector tests to let me know whether he's ready or not. JD is there as a support system for him, and JD is also watching everything that he's doing, because if he sees something that I don't necessarily see, then he's going to be able to stop me and say, hey, wait, I don't think this horse is ready. You know, it's always important to have somebody else watching you or watching your videos and having a support team. And this is going to help prevent you from getting hurt or prevent the horse from having a wreck. So again, I run my body all over him. I pretend to slide off of his butt here, so he's felt me all over and he's okay with it. We want them to know that we're there. I can't emphasize that enough, you guys. I want them to know that they're having this experience. And JD continues to just pet and rub on him. And, you know, he's got an ear cocked back. He's paying attention to what's going on. His head's a little bit elevated. He braces to support me sliding down off of him, but he cocks a foot here. Isn't that cool? He's starting to cock a foot. He's really okay with what's happening to him. And so we continue on and we keep going. And I just keep petting him all over. I'm doing the same stuff to him right now that he's going to experience when I'm on his back, right? So I don't want to change up anything. This is all the stuff that I've done to him his whole entire life. This is how I've pet and rubbed on him. We've got a leg cocked. He's okay with all of it that's going on. He was starting to get really bothered by the flies, and so I went and grabbed fly spray and wanted to make sure he's really comfortable and get him covered all over. The flies are really tough this time of year. We get some that buzz their face so bad, we call them nose flies, and there's a lot of times that when the nose flies are out, you can't get anything done with these horses. So you have to time your day around when the nose flies come out. Unfortunately, they only come out for a few weeks out of the year, and this happens to be when they're out. But we like to make sure that they're as comfortable as we could possibly get them in order to do this. I don't want them to have a wreck because they're irritated, you know what I mean? And, you know, if you guys have been following all along, I say this in every video, this is a different shooter than the one that we started with, if you think about it. So I'm going to go ahead and mount and dismount him 3 times. I always pedal my feet before I step off, so he knows that when I put that weight in those stirrups and stomp my feet like that, he knows to brace because I'm stepping off. The first time is so he knows. The second time is so that he knows that I know what he's doing. And the third time is practice. Third time is when we get together. Go ahead and go to the other side and do the same exact thing. I always like to make sure my horses have had this stuff done to them on both sides. I never know when either I might have an injury or a disability, or the person that I sell the horse to may have some limitation why they can't mount or dismount on the other side, or on the left side. And so I like to make the horse really well rounded so that they're accepting of everything on both sides of their body. It's super important. If we go to roping off this horse, I'm going to be swinging a rope off of his right side, so he has to be okay with everything on that right side just as much as he is on his left. He cocks a foot there for a brief second. He's okay with me being up there. He's accepting everything that's going on. I'm making sure I pet and rub all over him. Again, this horse knows what I'm doing to him. I'm not sneaking around. And I'm really confident. I've done enough of these that I know how they feel when it's going to go well or when they're uptight and they're not accepting what I'm doing. So when I first start off, I start by bending their head around and making sure that at a standstill, I can take a hold of their head. I take that rein to my thigh and I pet and rub on them. I want to make sure that they know that this is the safe place. And I go back and forth, left and right. Because if we can't get it done at a standstill, we're not going to get it done at a walk or a trot, or, heaven forbid, if this horse actually were to take off and really lose it, I'm going to need to be able to stop him at speed. So if we can't get it done right here at a standstill, we're not going to get it done at any other speed. Licks and chews, lowers his neck and head. That is super for this colt. If you've been following all along, anytime Shooter lowers his neck and head like that is a win in my book. And, you know, I got him to walk off pretty good, and he grabbed his butt just a tiny little bit there, which we kind of knew Shooter was going to be this way, right? We've kind of watched him up to this point. We know he's going to have a lot of speed. He's going to have a lot of foot speed. He's extremely athletic. And so we're going to spend more time down-regulating this horse than most horses that I'll be riding. Again, he's got a lot of feel to him. And, you know, he's wanting to follow JD around a little bit. JD always worries when we do this because he's afraid of them spooking and running him over. But sometimes it takes JD to help get them walking in the first place. So I mostly just try to get him to go out to the rail because that's ultimately where he's most comfortable and he finds balance on the rail. So as we walk around this round pen, let's talk about balance for a little bit. You guys have seen me do groundwork with this horse. You've seen me do groundwork with other horses. And I sure didn't skip any steps with this horse. And I emphasize doing groundwork with quality on them and making sure they were correct when they worked, because I was preparing them for this very moment when I got up on their back and they had to negotiate this living, breathing, dynamic individual up there that came with all of this energy, and now they have to negotiate their footfall and their footwork on a circle and hold themselves together emotionally, mentally, and physically, okay? When we see this colt put his head down and lower it for a couple of strides there, saying he's okay with what's going on, that's where we like Shooter to be. JD gets into a spot there to help push the colt forward just a little bit. I go ahead and take an opportunity to bend him around and do an emergency stop. If you look at the left-hand side of the screen and you see the horse back there that's flipping his head, that's what nose flies do to them. And that's what we're dealing with when the nose flies are out, just to kind of let you know. So we have to load them up with a lot of fly spray here. And, you know, there's a point there where the fly spray doesn't work at all. So we change directions right away. I preach the faster you can change directions and the faster you can make their feet move, the better they're going to be, the more confident they're going to be, the more comfortable they're going to be with us up there on their back. We see Shooter start to walk out a little bit more. He's nodding and bobbing his head a little bit. He wasn't super comfortable with me running my hand up his neck there to bend him around. Did you see him kind of flip his head a little bit? You know, that's why I did all the rubbing and petting on him that I do, is specifically for this very moment, because if they're not used to you doing that all of this stuff is going to be brand new information. It's already brand new enough that we're up there on his back asking him to do new things. But by doing the groundwork, we're preparing him over and over and over again to experience this. And look at how nice and long and low he goes with that neck and head when he gets really comfortable. I'm going to bend him again here pretty soon, and we're going to change directions again. I always try to bend them 3 times, both directions, at the walk, trot, and lope. Especially at the walk and trot, and then we kind of feel out with them how much loping we need once we get there. Little glitch in the camera there, apologize about that. I go ahead and start asking him for the trot here. And he went ahead and took it really easy because he was wanting to. You know, he's kind of wanting to move his feet a little bit faster. I've talked about this before. What do horses do when they're out of balance? They either speed up, they slow down, or they buck. And Shooter's the type that he's going to speed up. And see how when he can't quite figure out where to go, I go ahead and bend him. I only use it. I don't have to go the entire arena. Okay, I don't have to go the entire lap around the round pen. I don't have to make multiple laps. If it's just a couple of strides, it's okay. Just a few strides, bend him, stop him, change directions, make sure he's comfortable. Trot off again, he grabs his butt just a little bit. You see him kind of turn his head back and kind of look back a little bit because he's negotiating and trying to navigate that feeling of that rider up on his back. And I just keep on going back and forth. This is the importance of going back and forth, changing directions. Later on, it'll be drop to the trot lead changes. So as he gets more comfortable, I allow him to trot further and further. And so, you know, when we started out, it was just a couple of strides. This time, it's like 7 or 8 strides before we change directions. And we just keep doing this until he gets confident and comfortable and he starts to relax, okay? You guys, this is the foundation for the emergency stop, okay? I teach this in the very first ride. Why? Because we all need an emergency stop. It's not a matter of when you have a wreck, it's how bad it's going to be. And we want our horses to be able to stop, down-regulate, and look to us for support. And we need to have those tools in our toolbox in the event we're about to have a wreck. Look at how much more comfortable he's walking around the round pen. He's nodding, bobbing his head. He's, holding his head a little bit lower. He's holding it with more balance. It doesn't take much to get them confident and comfortable if they've had a proper foundation put in place, okay? And so he's starting to trot out quite a bit further. We're making it, nearly a half of a lap around. He starts to add a little bit more speed there, and I'm not ready for him to add that much speed yet to his trot. I'd like him to keep an even cadence all the way around, but he's kind of doing that speed up and slow down thing. Like I told you, with balance, when they lose it, they either speed up or they slow down. And we're going to see that multiple times in everything that Shooter does. He's gotten a lot more confident. I'm feeling more comfortable up there. I start to post with him as he goes, and he's confident and comfortable with me posting along with him. I stay quiet in my hands, quiet in my legs, and I'll take this opportunity to go as long as I can before I put him in that bend. And he's a little tight there to the left. It takes a little while to bring him down, but I'm still showing him that this is a safe place to be. If you look back at all our groundwork and all the times that I've pet and rubbed him on his head and on his butt, that's why this is so important, that he knows that he's aware of it. He has experienced it multiple times before. It's not going to scare him when he sees me reach down to pet on him. So I'm going to do a lot of this back and forth work on him. We gradually build up speed as we work on this bending to a stop and down regulating them. And this develops a confidence in us as well, because then we know that we can get this horse stopped. And we can in turn enjoy our horse so much more because of what we're able to accomplish with them. We can go out on trail rides. We can go out on rides with our friends. We can compete on them because we know at any given situation, we can support our horse and keep them quiet and help them with their footwork in every aspect of their riding and training. Now I'm going to prepare him for a lope here, And I asked JD right before we started, are you ready for the zoomies? And so when we do take off, he does move his feet pretty fast. And I'm going to save this part for part 2 of Shooter's first ride. I really appreciate you guys watching. I sure hope you have a great rest of your day. And stick around for part 2 of Shooter's first ride. We have a lot more to go, and I get a lot more done with this Colt in the next part of this ride.